So let's see, I'll move this over here. So I'm doing well. How about you guys? Let's see, I'm just trying to think of where the captions are going to go. So things have been kind of crazy, kind of good. I am, like I said, so glad that I have a couple of new clients. And so my one new client asked me to do something for like a business partner of hers in some other venture. And then he loved what I did. It was basically like, it was an invitation for a dinner, but I made it like a cute image that it could be in the email. So when the people get the email, it'll have the beautiful invitation. And he said he loved it so much. He said that he shared it with several other people for their input and they loved it. And he said that they had I don't know if he said it was a graphic designer or a marketing person or somebody. Like, he made it seem like, they expected that she was going to do a great job. He said hers was okay, but nowhere near as nice as hers. That was such a boost. I mean, I've been working hard and I feel like I've been doing a good job for my new client. She's got some nice employees and she's got some really funky employees. Maybe that's what I should talk about. I should talk about that. I never showed the name. I don't really know what the name is. It says present for you. And then it's JOSNOWN. Josh known. But anyway, I hope that they're cool after they get washed and everything. So I've been working at this new place for, since March, April, so like 2 months. And I'm working directly with the owner. My client I've had for like 2.5 years or so is friends with this woman. And one day they were talking about stuff and she was like, you're so busy, you need a lot of help. I'm going to give you Kat's name. You should call her and see if she can help you. So I reached out to her, we connected, she agreed to my rate and told me how many hours she wanted me to work. And then 3 weeks went by and I could not get a drop of anything out of her. And I was like, I guess this isn't going to happen. She's so busy that she can't stop for half an hour to give me something to do. I don't know. So I started to get very disheartened because actually we had talked. She set me up. She got me in the system, set me up with an email address, and told me how I can do getting paid. When I log my hours, I got 15 minutes in, and then, like I said, 3 weeks went by. But then she gave me something to do, and then she gave me something else to do, and now I literally have a list of things to do. I have to get some stuff done this weekend, which it's due on Monday, and it's a few hours of work. So she's given me stuff to do, but then she was like, she only wanted me to work 10 hours. Then she bumped it up to 12. Then she bumped it up to 15. Then she bumped it up to 20. And this is like week by week. Then it was at 25. This is hours a week. Then on Wednesday, because we were working on a deadline, I had already worked to 25 hours. And then she's like, giving me more things. And I'm like, well, I work 25 hours. So do you want me to work more hours? And then she said, okay, you can work more hours. Then I had worked more hours. Then she gave me the thing to do for this other guy. And so I ended up working like 3 hours for him. Then he loved what I did so much, and then he asked me if I could help him like figure out how to forward it to the people that he wants to send it to. So while we were talking, that's when he was telling me how, they loved it so much. And I said, well, if you need any other help, let me know because I'm looking for another client. And he was like, he said, I am so glad you said that because we do need some help. So he's starting a new venture. And so I told him that, the client that had given, who had told me to help him, asked me to help him, that I don't work for her exclusively and that I am looking for another client. I'm going to move that. I just noticed there's a huge pile of coats and stuff over there. You don't need to see that. Oh, well, I guess the text is going to be wherever. So when he said that, I was like, well, that's really cool. I told him what my current rate is and, that to book, it's a minimum of 4 hours a week, but I could potentially go up to 10. Anyway, so I'm really excited about the potential that I can get another new client and that, the thing is, like, I have this client and I really like her and I was disappointed it wasn't going anywhere, and now it's, she's giving me lots of work, but she also is limited with how many hours she can give me, even though she's got like 45 employees, and some of them are full-time, some of them are just, contractors. But I wanted to talk about two things that happened with different people who work there. The first thing was this woman, let's see, I'll call her Sophie, not her real name. I've never met her. And the only reason that I was interacting with her was because I was tasked with looking for another employee, actually. And so I put the ad on ZipRecruiter, and then my boss, well, my client, she's my client, but she's also my boss, whatever. So let's see, what name could I give her? Flo, okay? So Flo gave me the task to hire, to research, to basically put out a job advertisement, and then to field the candidates and based on the criteria for the job that she was looking for. So because she's super busy and she travels all the time, she said, I probably won't be able to do interview. So Sophie and Joe, they can do interviews, instead. So I sent them messages about, okay, I have the first few candidates and these are their availabilities. Are you available at these times to do interviews? If not, when are you available? Joe never replied. Joe never replied to a single one of those emails, okay? Sophie replied, those dates don't work for me. No additional response. Then I replied back, well, do you have any times that would work? No response. I then put together a spreadsheet with Flo, Sophie, and Joe, and dates, Monday through Friday with time blocks where all they had to do was put X's in the boxes for times when they would be available. No response. I then followed up with about 3 more emails trying to get trying to get Sophie or Joe to schedule interviews. They never replied. This took place over 5 weeks. Then finally I was on the phone with Flo and I was like, well, what about this job? I've narrowed it down to like 3 candidates. I found the top 3, but I can't get anybody to commit to doing an interview. So she said, she told me, she told me what the questions she wanted me to ask, and I ended up doing the interview. Then I was like, okay, well, I really like this person, Sally, she's great. So then when we were on the phone, me and Flo, she said, okay, put an interview on for tomorrow at noon with Sophie and this candidate. And she said, put me in there as well, but most likely it's going to be for Sophie. So I did that. Sophie fucking emails me back almost immediately saying, why would you put a meeting on without asking? I'm busy traveling, doing this or that or the other thing. You can't just put a meeting on You need to get my times of availability and stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck, bitch? So I write back, I understand that. However, Flo asked me to put it on, and I reached out to you on this date. I reached out to you on this date. I sent you a spreadsheet to tell me what your availability was on this date. No reply, no reply, no reply. I reached out to you on this date, and this date, and this date, and Flo told me to put it on this date. And I was like, wow. Like, I get it. She don't know me, but I'm not like emailing her from some spam account. It's literally a company email. And I'm literally saying, Flo, the boss, the owner, the president and CEO, the founder of this company, is asking me to schedule you for a meeting. So what I've noticed is like there's people there who they've been there a long time, and I don't know, I guess they just like, they're like, who the fuck are you? I don't care. So she ended up doing the interview, and then I followed up like, do you want me to call her references? Is there anything else I can help you with? And she was like, no, I'm going to move forward with the hiring process. Never followed back up with me, so I didn't call any references. I didn't do any of that. Then like a week later, I see, I typed her name, and I see her name is in the company email, and I'm like, oh, this is great. She got hired. Okay. Now, fast forward a month or so, they're already ready to fire her. Apparently, she didn't do some drug tests that she was supposed to do, but they were dragging their feet on there. And I think that they didn't really, like, I don't know. It does give me a bad feeling about the long-term viability of this place. But ultimately, they said they sent her a laptop. But it makes no sense, though, because... So Flo told me yesterday, well, she never did these drug tests that they needed her to do. And so that was putting a pause on things. But then for some reason they sent her a laptop anyway. And I don't know, she said something about like, they did take too long or something on her side, on our side. And then she just stopped responding, like she would not reply to them. And now they want their laptop back, and she's basically like not responding. So she told me that they sent her a self-address. It's not self-addressed. They sent her an address, a shipping label, that all she has to do is, mail it back, paid for, which why wouldn't they have done that in the first place? And there's some kind of like anti-theft lock that they can activate to the laptop from, remotely. So it's locked now, so she couldn't even use it or anything if she wanted to. And I'm like, wow. So I was so happy that I got this amazing candidate for them, and now it's turned into some totally negative experience. And and I don't know, like when I spoke to her, she seemed amazing. She seemed knowledgeable and experienced, and she had a lot of skills. And I just wonder, like, did they fuck her over? What I really got the sense of was that maybe, because at first I was like, what the heck is Sophie's problem? But now that I'm finding out, like, because the first email they sent me on, like, to clue me in was, basically they weren't giving her any work, and the project that she was supposed to be doing was done, and it seemed like they didn't want to give her any more work to do. So I got the sense that it wasn't that she was a bad hire, it was that they were fucking her over, just like it took them 3 weeks to get me going. And I felt at the time when I was interviewing her, like, don't sleep on this. She's a great candidate, and you're going to lose out on her because you're just taking too long. And when people are looking for jobs and they need money and they need work, you're not gonna fucking sleep on somebody because they don't want to get back to you for a month. You know, like that's just not how things work in the business world. So, you know, and I just think that was definitely a bad circumstance. That, so that's what I was saying. I think that it occurred to me, I guess Flo, possibly, that Flo's workload and Flo's hours and Flo's financial security, maybe she felt threatened by it, like, well, I don't need somebody else to do these things, you know, I've handled it. And you know, I think that there was pushback. I think that, not Flo, I'm sorry, I meant Sophie. Flo is the owner. I'm using false names, so I'm trying to remember them. Flo is the one who hired me, that I work for directly, and I think that she actually told me originally it was for 40 hours a week. She wanted somebody to do this job. And then after I put the ad out, she said, well, maybe only 10 hours a week. So it was like a huge shift. And again, I think because she said, well, my team is like, basically they're pushing back. Like, so there's like 3 people who do this role. She wanted to hire a 4th one. And I guess they didn't want to share the workload. That's how it's coming across. Like, you know, and knowing how I only get like 20 hours, 25, you know, this week I'm going to work more. This week I'm probably going to end up working 40 hours because you know, there's these 4 training manuals and an appendix, and it comes out to 755 slides combined, and there's work to do. So, you know, going through decks, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of slides, that takes time. That is not, you know, 20-minute job. And, you know, for a long time I had a boundary for myself time-wise, like I will only work Monday through Friday, you know, 9 to 5 on clients' work. And then I will work, you know, an additional 40 hours at night and on the weekends and, you know, at all hours of the night on this channel. And I've got hundreds and hundreds of videos that are public, free, to show that. But guess what? My channel doesn't pay me. And, you know, I feel like it's stalled. I feel that I was seeing a lot of growth, and then it just kind of, it's just sort of stuck in this limbo where I gain a subscriber, I lose a subscriber. You know, it's like get 1, lose 1, get 1, lose 1, get 3, lose 1, get 3, lose 2, get 1, lose 1, get 5, lose 1, you know. So there's growth, but at the same time, I got to the point where it kind of clicked in my mind, like, why do I have a boundary where I refuse to work for, you know, paid clients late or even on the weekend? Because in my mind, I'm like, I will only work for myself, but I'm not paying myself. And then I realized, well, if I allow myself, if I open up my mindset and I say, I'm already working late, I'm already spending hours on the weekend, hours late at night, after hours, sitting on my computer, editing videos, working on stuff, but I'm not getting paid for it. So I said, fuck it. For now, I'm not saying I'm going to do this forever, but for now, I am going to allow myself to work for clients late or on the weekend if there's the work to do and stuff needs to get done. Like, the deadline is Monday morning. It's Saturday at 10:36 a.m. And I'm making this video just because I kind of just wanted to like vent, to just talk, you know. I guess this will just be like a Saturday chat, shoot the shit, socks and new clients and, you know, new money and you know, new issues. So, you know, that other issue with that Sophie, you know, that was the one-time thing. And then, you know, I haven't had any interaction with Sophie, haven't had to work with her directly in any way. So, you know, that was that. Other people I've been working with are pretty nice. Then another thing, what is this lady's name? I have to come up with a name for her. Let's call her Nancy, okay? Nancy. I'm going to take the socks out of the box so I can get them ready to wash them. So Nancy, all right, so as I was talking about this big, huge presentation, so Flo originally said, hey, we've got this training manual for a client. It was due months ago, but they stopped paying us hours to work on it, so it's just been sitting there and it's not done. It's about 80% done content-wise, but it really needs to be formatted. So she said, take 10 hours a week and start formatting it. So that's what I did. Okay. Then it started to grow. There's like 8 people, including me, on this team, and I'm not doing any content. I'm just doing strictly formatting. And although I am now making a table of contents, which I guess in some ways content, but again, it's really just gathering the the titles of the sections and the slides and numbering them and making a table of contents. And, so again, I'm not making content, I'm just formatting and making references. So, I'm getting a text. Okay, so again, this video is a Saturday chat. It's for me to like vent, get stuff off my chest, and also, to just kind of, I figure like, let me talk about this situation because I feel like there are so many things that happen like this at people's jobs, and so much drama and stress and bad vibes and bad faith actors who, for example, like this particular woman, Nancy's been here for 8 years. She has seniority. She is knowledgeable. The stuff that I heard her talk about, it's clear. She knows what she's talking about. She understands the material. She understands like the job. She knows what needs to be put in that presentation. She knows what training, information, and regulations and the statutes, and she's got the skills to get that aspect of it done. But something's fucking wrong with her. Like, bitch is power tripping? I don't know. It's funny, like bringing me back to that comment that I said, like, I guess for some people, they've been there a long time and they're like, who's this new bitch? I don't give a fuck about what you have to say. I am literally going to sabotage you. Okay, so in this situation, I will give props to Flo, just a spoiler alert, that this is one of those situations where I don't know if I have an in because the woman who told Flo to hire me is a friend of Flo's that she's had for 20 years. And so it was like a personal recommendation. And my other client, Flo's friend, really, really thinks highly of me. She really loved, even though I only do like 5 hours of work for her a week. And she's my lowest paying client. But I've also had her the longest. So she's paying the rate that when I first started, the rate that I was like, okay, this will be okay. And I have, it's increased a lot since then, and I haven't raised it at all. I don't know. Anyway, I'm obsessed with socks. So there are five pairs in the set, and I just bought 3 pairs to share with my sons, because so basically it's like 5 new pairs each. I don't know, I swear my son wears them and then they just like disappear. I don't know, but actually these really are like better and longer than the last time that I bought them. All right, anyway, back to Nancy. Okay, negative Nancy. What the fuck is wrong with you, Nancy? What's your deal? Okay, so as I said, Flo told me about a month and a half ago now, there's these training manuals. They've been sitting there for months. We haven't worked on them. So I want you to just go in and just start formatting them. And that's what I did. I wasn't working on any content. I was just formatting the slides. And I started off by working on the slide masters. So there already was like some format to it, but it was inconsistent. And if you know anything about PowerPoint, you know that if you make a slide master, it's a lot easier and it's a lot cleaner, and it helps you to be consistent and to keep your presentation within a certain set of formatting standards, which looks a lot more professional. And I have many years of experience of doing all that. So I don't want to be too low, but at the same time, I know I always put the captions up, and then I don't want them like covering my fucking face. So, okay, so I'm working on it, and then Kay is the one who shares the files with me, and then Jay has documents, and she's like, can you help add these documents, onto slides? And I'm like, okay, but then it was documents in OneNote, and I guess Jay had an older version of OneNote, and then my computer couldn't see them, and so I got M, the IT guy. Flo said, ask M, he's the IT guy, he can help you with that. So he helped me with that, and Kay was nice, and Jay was nice, and M was nice, and I'm working on the files, and then it got real big, and so Flo said, Nancy is going to head this project. Nancy is now in charge of the project. And we're going to take what started off as a 300 slide PowerPoint, has now become 4 parts, and each of the parts are growing. You got 113 slides, you got 94 slides, you got 306 slides, you got 120 slides, and then there's an appendix. And that went from an 80-page PDF, and then I made it into a PowerPoint, and then now it's like 109 pages. Okay. And so I'm taking PDFs and converting them to JPEGs and trying to shape them, and then some of them were so old and they just looked so bad, and so Jay started to retype some of the stuff, and okay, so Flo had assigned me to do the formatting, and Jay was doing content. But then Nancy decided to tell Jay to start to do formatting. She didn't tell me that she was telling Jay to do formatting, and she didn't tell Flo that she told Jay to do formatting. She just told Jay to do formatting. So then but I was still doing formatting as well, because like I said, with almost 800 slides, you can have 2 people working on formatting, and there's plenty of formatting to do. Okay, and plus, then there was 2 K-name guys. They came into the mix. That guy who had never answered my emails, what did I say his name was? Joe. Joe got into the project. And then there was Sam and Sally were adding content. Okay, so this is like a huge project, multiple people adding. But I knew what my job was to do, which was to format. And so as the 2K name guys are adding content, and those new pages need to be formatted. And then Joe is adding things, and he's formatting, but he's formatting it in a totally wrong format. And he's moving boxes down and down and down. He's moving everything from the top where it was down. So then I had to literally go back and unformat the changes that he made because he made the wrong changes. He was like, oh, I think this looks better. Not paying any attention to the standards. That's why you have standards in companies, because when you got 5-10 people working on a project and they're all like, this looks better to me like this. I like this blue. I like this purple. I like, and then you end up with something that looks like a fucking kindergarten mishmash of garbage, which is not what you want when you're trying to be a professional company and you want to represent your client and have cohesive branding, you don't want to have Joe moving everything down because he just thinks it looks better centered. And literally he made a note on every page, centered, 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 centered. And I'm like, why? Why would you center everything when that's not the fucking way it is? But anyway, so I was busy. Okay, so then we were in a meeting, and this is like Microsoft Teams. It's 8 people in a meeting, but nobody has their cameras on, so you just see everybody's initials in these little black boxes, but not everybody's talking at once. It's Flo and Nancy, and I was saying things, other people were saying things. Okay, so again, so Nancy starts to say, well, Kate, which is not my fucking name, what are you doing? And no, I'm like, well, I'm formatting. And she's like, well, Jay did formatting. So what are you doing that Jay didn't do? Literally saying this to me in a meeting with all these people, like, are you fucking kidding me? And I said, formatting. She's like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, fonts and, size, the font sizes and the shape and the size and the margins and the bullets and making sure that pictures aren't skewed and looking, weird and, formatting. Okay, so very dismissive and like basically trying to say that I am not literally saying, like not even implying, outright saying, what are you doing that she's not doing? Like, okay. So I was like, what the fuck was that? And then like misnaming me. So I'm like, what is her problem? Okay. So then the next meeting, following week, what was it? No, I think that the second meeting was when she called me Kate a couple of times, and I said, are you, like I unmuted and I'm like, are you calling me Kate? And she's like, what am I supposed to call you? And I'm like, Kat. My name is Kat, so you can call me Kat. And then what was the other thing that she said? I'm trying to think. Oh, right. Okay, so that meeting, it was made clear, and again, Flo, the boss, the owner, she was in the meeting. And so everybody, the 2K guys, they were like, okay, they got to do these tests they got to come up with. And then, Jay is working on adding this and that and the other thing. And then Joe, he's basically done. He's got like 2 things more to add. And then Kat, me, I'm going to make the table of contents for all the decks, meaning what title, what slide is on what page. Make that and put it together. Okay, it was said in the meeting where everybody could hear it. Some final formatting, but mostly the table of contents. That was what I was tasked with doing. So the next day, I'm working on it. I'm working on the table of contents. Jay is also in, like, it's OneDrive files, so you can see when somebody's in the file, you can see like a little circle with their initial, and then it tells you, so and so. Jay is in the file. She's on slide 113. Okay, so we're both in the file. I'm trying to work on it. She's working on it, and it was a little annoying because it kept bouncing me down because she was in it. So then I'm like, well, let me work on part 2 while she's in part 1. And then I'm WhatsApping with her. So I'm working on it. WhatsApping with Jay. Okay, I'm doing this. I'm doing that. She's adding this. I'm not adding anything. I'm like, I'm working on this slide to do this, whatever. Okay. So Jay and I are communicating. She's working in the file. I'm working in the files. There's, like I said, there's 5 decks because there's 5 parts and an appendix. So she's working in one, and it's this huge 306 slide thing, and it's popping me around. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get into part 2 while she's in part 1 because it's bouncing me around. Okay. Then all of a sudden I get a phone call from Flo. Flo is in the car driving from the airport to the hotel, and she is hectic. And I'm like, hi. And she's like, stop what you're doing. Stop editing. Just stop working on the training manuals. There's missing slides. There's deleted slides. There's all this stuff. And I immediately knew this bitch Nancy. And I said, who told you that? I said, that's not true. Who told you that? Nancy. And I'm like, Flo, I am so confused. I said, I don't understand. I am literally in the file right now. Jay is also in the file. We have been communicating. I am doing what I was asked to do. I have not deleted anything. I am confused about why you're being told this. And this was like a kind of hectic, although, like I said already, spoiler alert, Flo did come through for me, which, just to sort of sidebar what I was trying to say, is this is one of those situations where I don't know if it's because I have an in, because Flo hired me based on her friend's recommendations, so she has like a view of me. You know, she has a positive view of me because of that. So it's kind of like, you know, the respect in the bank kind of thing. Like, her friend values me and spoke highly of me, and so, you know, I don't know if that's it. I don't know if it's she's liked the work I've done for her so far, although, like I said, I haven't done a huge amount of work. I mean, I have done some work, but, you know, that lady I hired went all wonky and stuff. And, you know, luckily, thankfully for me, she's not putting on any of the onus on me. She even said to me in the meeting yesterday, well, I know you called her references and stuff. And I said, well, no, I didn't, because I had asked Sophie if she wanted me to do that for her, and she never got back to me. So I just assumed she didn't want my help, you know. So I didn't do it because she didn't say do it. And she was like, oh, you know, so really Sophie dropped the ball, because I don't know if, you know, I think that the references would have been good. And, you know, what I believe, again, like I already said, which I'm speculating, they didn't say she did a poor job. They didn't say anything like that. They said there was no more work for her to do, and that, you know, they really didn't want to give her any more projects. Like, that's what it came down to. And, you know, I think that it's likely she didn't go get the tests because she was probably like, why the fuck should I go get some tests done for these people who haven't even given me any work to do? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, and then you expect me to go do something. So that's the vibe that, you know, because she was so nice and she was experienced and she was professional. Anyway, back to the phone call with Flo. And she's like, you know, freaking out because Nancy is outright lying to her. So then I'm like, I am so confused, Flo, because I am working on the table of contents. I haven't deleted anything. Okay, then I get, okay, so then she's like, well, I'm driving from the airport and I'm not in front of the computer and I can't look at it. So just stop what you're doing. And I'm like, okay. I said, hey, I don't have any problem with that, but I just don't understand why. I said, on the meeting, it was made clear my job was to do the table of contents. Oh, wait, then she said, fuck. Then she said, Nancy said she made the table of contents and you deleted it. And now there's all these blank pages there. I said, what? I said, there are blank pages. There are blank pages because I am literally working on making the table of contents right now. And so I put those placeholders because it's a 300-page document. I didn't say all of this stuff. It's a 300-page document, so of course it's going to be a long table of contents, okay? So, but anyway, I'm like, I do not understand why I was told to do the table of contents, and then she would go behind me and do it and then say I deleted her work. And by the way, I did not delete any work. There was a 8 list thing, which is not the same. 8 items is not doing the work when there's 300 fucking slides, okay? So I said, I don't know what work she did that she's claiming I deleted, but there was the original, like I said, the document had been sitting there for months, and there was an original table of contents, which was just like a very preliminary based on, a draft from months ago that was not at all comprehensive or anywhere near complete, okay? I didn't say all of this stuff, but I'm like, it's fine, you're driving and everything, and it's okay. I just want to say, like, I don't understand why it was made very clear to me that my task, my responsibility was to make the table of contents for parts 1 through 4 in the appendix, and that is what I'm doing. So I don't understand why she would go behind me and start to try to do it and then turn around and tell you that I'm deleting her work. So she said, okay, let's get on a meeting. So then Jay starts to WhatsApp me saying, what happened to the table of contents? And I'm like, no, actually, I think she started to WhatsApp me before I got the call. That's right. And I'm like, what do you mean? What happened to it? I'm working on it. And she's like, well, where's the one that was there? So I go back to the, you can go see the previous version, and I pull it up. And like I said, it's like eight items. And I say to her, I put it back, but it's not, I'm like, it's not the table of contents. I don't understand. It's only 8 items, okay, so this is where I'm getting confused. Then I got the call from Flo, and then I'm like, oh, okay. Nancy is sabotaging me. This is what I'm saying. If you work somewhere and you don't have an in with the boss, and the boss just hires you and doesn't really know you and doesn't have any special feeling for you, or whatever it is, they trust Nancy because Nancy's been there for 8 years and Nancy knows her shit. But knowing your shit, knowing your data, knowing what you're doing does not make you a good fucking person. It doesn't make you somebody who's good to work with. And I don't know how smart she is, because she's the one who's like, well, what's this, what's formatting? And then there was like, okay, again, like I said, there's, 5 decks. So one of the things I was saying was, so I just realized I'm not going to bother doing the captions because that will take me all day. So I finally moved myself up. The whole point, I was like, there was going to be captions above, but I am not going to do that. It's 11:06. I do have to start getting into the files to do the work. Okay, but so on some of the files, there are a few repeating slides. A handful of slides or whatever that are in multiple decks. So, like, for example, Joe is like, well, I'm going to edit this slide. And I know, because I've been through all the files, that, this slide is repeated in 3 decks. So Joe is going to fix slide 50 in deck 3, but that is slide 27 and slide 14 in the other decks. So I said, okay, basically, instead of like changing slide 50 and then going and changing, 3 times doing it, once they're changed, I would just copy and paste the edited slide into the other decks, removing the old version. So I was saying, like, instead of, doing the work again and again, once you're done editing those, then, like, I can go in and replace the other ones. So Nancy, you're gonna do what? Wait, what? No, I don't want you pasting things. I don't want you adding slides to the deck. And I'm like, no, that's not what. And before I could even like say more, Jay and one other person at least, maybe, I feel like there was like 3 people who were like, no, that like, and then Jay was like, I know what you mean. And I'm like, this fucking idiot. Okay, so anyway, back to Nancy telling Flo that she's doing the table of contents and I am deleting her work and stuff and removing slides. Okay, so we get off the phone. Then Jay sends a meeting request, and it's for the whole team. Jay, the 2K name guys, Joe, Nancy, Flo, me, and it's for 6:30. Now, some of them, a lot of them are in Central, some are in Mountain. Flo travels a lot, so I think she might have been in California that day. So it's like 3:30 for her, you know. But I'm like, fucking 6:30, and I'm like, this is insane. And then I really started, like, for a moment, I was like, oh, I don't think this job is gonna last, because how can you work in an environment where you're trying to? And I even said to Flo at one point, like, I don't really, I don't know exactly how I worded it, but it's like, it doesn't really matter to me what exactly I'm doing. I just want to do the work. So I just want to do the work, get my hours, and you know, like, you told me to do table of contents, so I'm going to do a table of contents. If you don't want me to do that, you know, but you can't, like, tell somebody to do something and then have somebody else doing it. Like, that's what I'm saying, sabotage, you know. And if Flo didn't have, okay, so what ended up happening was, so the meeting request came through. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I don't even want to get on a meeting with this bitch, Nancy. And I'm like, this is so fucking unprofessional, and this is so middle school bullshit. And I really started to feel like, I don't know about this place, because if this is the kind of people who are there and they're all territorial and acting all weird about, looking for my lip balm, acting all weird about just doing some basic shit, you know, like, what's the fucking point? Please hold. So I went to go pick my kids up, and I'm telling them, like, this is bullshit. And the night before, I had been kind of bitching about Nancy, and I'm like, what is wrong with this bitch? She is literally trying to undermine me. She's calling me the wrong name in the meeting. She's outright like, well, what are you doing? Like, what the fuck? You didn't hire me. You're not paying me. Like, I'm not coming for your job. We don't even do the same things. Like, it makes no sense to me. Like, that's the thing. It's not like she could be concerned that I'm coming after her job or going to take hours away from her or anything like that. Because we are not, I mean, our paths overlap in the fact that, like, I'm working on this file and then, you know, she's managing the project and knows the content. But, woo, this fucking lady was a piece of work. So I'm like, all right, okay, this shit is some bullshit. Next thing I know, Jay cancels the meeting. My phone rings and it's Flo. And I'm like, hey. So she says, well, I spoke to Jay and I spoke to Nancy, and Nancy's part of the project is done. Wait, no, she said, Jay is going to be heading up the rest of the project. I said, Jay? I said, well, what about Nancy? And she said, Nancy's part of the project is done. I said, oh, shit. And then she says, I told Nancy that you're doing what I asked you to do. And if she's going and making changes and communicating with Jay, but not keeping keeping you in the loop, and not letting me know that she's gone behind, you know, she went and changed things. She said, well, Kat is hearing about it secondhand, third hand. She doesn't know that you went and changed things. She said Kat was doing what I told her to do. So what made me so fucking happy about that is that, which was true, the boss, Flo, told me, I want you to do this. I want you to format these. I want you to make the table of contents. That's what you're going to do, Kat. And Nancy was in the call. Nancy heard it. Not only that, but Jay made an email after the fact listing out every line item that every person had to do with their name next to it. And then when she put my name, I replied to the whole group saying, and also I'm making the table of contents for parts 1 through 4 plus the appendix. Okay? And then Jay responded again saying, please everybody make sure you CC Kat when you're done with your section so that she knows your pages are done. Okay? So I am so grateful that Flo, I feel like Flo did get rightfully personally offended. Like, bitch, this is my company. This is my place. Like, yes, you work here and you're doing this project. I put you in charge of this project so you could help facilitate the project. Not so, and of course, I'm all speculating and I'm putting words in her mouth that she didn't say. Okay, this is how it made me feel. That Flo was feeling like, how are you going to come behind me, which is really what I was feeling. Like, I told her to do such and such, and you're just going to go and change things, not tell her that you're going behind her back and, like, I'm like, why the fuck is Nancy doing the table of contents when she knows goddamn well that that's what I was told to do? Who does that? Who? And then she didn't even fucking do it. Who says I did the work that she was supposed to do and then she deleted it? What, bitch? So that's what I'm saying. Like, thank God for me. Okay, and then after that, after Flo was like, okay, Jay's in charge of it now. Nancy's part is done. Then me, Jay, and Flo got on a call and we talked about what we were gonna do. And so then the next time we got on a call, and it was, so I had no intention of talking. Jay is talking. Nancy's in the meeting. The 2K guys, well, actually just one of them. Joe, was he there? Yeah. A couple of them didn't make it. And I'm just sitting there, muted, camera off, listening. And then I got a text from Flo saying, don't speak in the meeting. I'm like, what? Like, okay. I thought she was fucking on my side. And then the next text, she said, let Jay let Jay drive this. So actually I had done like exclamation point reaction when she said don't speak. Because, nobody wants to be told, like, that is so fucked up. But then when she said, let Jay drive it, and I'm like, I liked that message. And, but in my mind, I'm like, bitch, why are you telling me not to speak when I had no intention of speaking? I didn't have shit to say anyhow. But I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to get offended by it. Even though that was so unnecessary. But so I'm like, okay, knock me down a peg or two. But still, so I'm working on that, and then, I was really grateful that she put Nancy in her place. And not only did she put her in her place, she was like, you're done. You're not heading the project up anymore. Jay is going to do it. And that must have made Nancy feel bad. Nancy still was talking in the meeting and, contributing, but, it just made me think about, I have had some clients that at first they seemed really cool and then they turned on me and it was just like, what the fuck? Like this one lady, oh my God, I was doing work for her. It was only a few weeks. And then she had this conference, and when she showed up at the conference, she had another employee who flew to the conference, was at the, I think it might have been in San Diego, okay? So this lady, she's flying to the place where the conference is. The other employee flies there. She's she landed. She was supposed to arrive at the hotel where the conference was to help start setting up the table and everything. And she says, she ghosted me. She never showed up. She flew to the place and then ghosted. And she was so pissed. She was rightfully so mad. Well, I'm saying rightfully, although after what then she did to me made me think, second wonder about, maybe that lady ghosted you because you're a fucking raging bitch. And she was like, fuck this bitch. I'm not going to work for you. Okay. And so, well, anyway, um, so she was going to a conference where she was going to have a table, be a vendor at some kind of event and try to sell her business. And the lady was supposed to go fly in and join her. And so she ghosts. Okay. So we had originally hooked up on this, third party program where she was paying them and then they would pay me. And we had like she had like 10 hours left or whatever, or something like that. Okay. So we talk on the phone and she wants to get out of that thing and transition to like, okay, I'm just going to pay you independently. So she tells me I've got 10 hours left and I want you to work those hours. But the way that app worked or whatever was that if this date came, you were going to be automatically recharged. So she wanted to cancel it before she got recharged. So we had talked and she was like, I want you to do this and this and the other thing. We even had a Zoom call where I think it was like almost an hour where she's training me, showing me her screen and do this and go in here and do this. Okay. So the time was coming where she was about to be charged. So I went into the app, and you can go into the app and you track your time and you say this many hours and this is person and this project. So I hadn't actually done the work, but I wanted to get the hours, take the hours so she could cancel her account, and then I would have the pay, and I was going to work, it was only 10 hours. So it was like I was going to just work for those few hours with that pay, and then we were going to transition. She was going to pay me independently. Okay. So I took the hours, and then she calls me in a rage. What did you do? And I was like, what? I took the hours so that I could do the work that you just trained me to do, so that you won't get recharged and you won't lose the hours. Because the other thing is, if she was either going to be recharged or lose the hours, So I was like, I did what we discussed. She's like, those hours were meant for so-and-so. I was saving those hours for my other employee, and now you just stole the hours. And I was like, oh my fucking God, I would never do that. I took the hours because we talked about it. So I was like, well, I will tell them that they can reverse it. But I'm so confused. I'm like, I don't understand at all, because we literally discussed this, and my understanding was that I was going to take these hours and do all those things that you trained me how to do. So she was like, absolutely not. I want my hours back. Those were meant for so-and-so. I was like, oh my God. So I immediately emailed the place, and I'm like, I took these hours for this project, but she wants them back. She wasn't happy with that. So, please give her hours back. She, there was a misunderstanding. So they immediately put the hours back. And then I got right after that, a message from them saying, she's dropped you. She's no longer your client. And I'm just like, so then I write to her, text or whatever, I am so confused. I don't understand at all, because we discussed this at length. You trained me on what you wanted to do. You told me you wanted me to get these hours before you lost them, before you canceled. And now you're telling me a completely different thing. And I don't understand what happened. Where's the disconnect happen? And then she wrote some scathing text back about, she was just so enraged that I would do that. She was so betrayed or whatever. And I was just like, this bitch is crazy. That's probably why that lady got to the airport and was like, fuck her. I'm like, God knows what she did or said to that lady to make that lady say, fuck her. I am going to leave her in the lurch. She will be ghosted. And you are supposed to be performing at your best when you're working an event like that. And to know that not only was she short-handed because her help wasn't there, but she, like, the mentality of being ghosted, like having to deal with you're at your conference now, suddenly short-staffed. You got to do this all by yourself. You got nobody to help you take a potty break or literally anything, and you don't really know why, because you're ghosted. Like, that's why one of the reasons why being ghosted is so painful, because it's like this prolonged sense of confusion and hurt, and you're like angry, but you're confused, and then you can be like, well, did something happen to them, or like what like all these emotions, and that bitch deserved it. Okay. Oh my God, there was this other client I had briefly. She loved everything I was doing, and then she was going to travel for the first time in 8 years or something, and she wanted me to book a flight for her. And the way she went about it was she was driving to the fucking passport office to get her passport while she's like, book this flight. And I booked it on Expedia, and apparently on Expedia they can false advertise flights that aren't real. And then so TAP Airlines run, it's like Portugal Airlines run through the United, they advertise a flight, and when I purchased it, they immediately canceled the return flight, saying no, TAP Portugal said that that's not the flight. And so I ended up having a one-way ticket to Portugal, and I was like, oh my God, I did not know that Expedia could do this. That was one of my early mistakes, early learning pains. But so I said, well, I can just buy you a one-way return ticket. And she freaked out, and she said, oh my God, I can't have two separate tickets. If I go to the passport office and I have a one-way ticket there and another one-way ticket back, they're going to say this isn't okay. And I'm like, they will? What do you mean? Like, how is that even? Like, it made no sense. Of course you can have multiple tickets. What if you're going to go from one city to another, to another, to another? What if you were not going to go there and come straight back? Which is what a lot of people do. Like, it's a legitimate ticket. You've purchased the ticket. It's in your name. It's on the date. It shows exactly when and where. Okay, so in my mind, she made a whole big issue out of her anxiety. And she said, I have anxiety about this, I have ADHD, and I was like, it's okay, I can handle it. Girl, she took that one, I'll own it. Yes, that was an unfortunate, like, I got the exact flight that she told me to get. She was like, get this flight with this return, and I did it. And and then she was like, I should have purchased this last night while I had it up on my computer. Like, yeah, I mean, true. If you've ever purchased airline flights, you know that waiting 24 hours, even sometimes 12 hours, could potentially be a big difference in that ticket. In the flight tickets for 1 week out versus 10 days out versus, so if she had the perfect tickets, the perfect price, all she had to do was literally click purchase. But no, she didn't do that. And this lady, I had her credit card information, I had her license, I had literally every private information about her, and we'd been working together for about a month or so, and I had shown her that I was trustworthy. I mean, up to then, I mean, it does take time to establish real trust, but I feel like we had established some. And she freaked out. And she was like, there's no way I'm going to go there with this ticket with two kinds. So, based on that and her instructions, she wanted a full round trip ticket. She also wanted it to be non-refundable, which cost a lot more, because she was so concerned. And she had a special needs 9-year-old or something, so it's like legitimate concerns. But she's like, it has to be non-refundable and round trip. So I went like directly to United.com and I bought her a round trip ticket directly from United. And then I told her, I found out that Expedia has these rules that allow the airlines to actually change the tickets. So, it was a bad learning lesson, but now I know going forward that I'm never going to use Expedia again, because they can do that. So I'm only going to book tickets directly. Go to Delta, go to American Airlines, go directly to United.com. Whatever little piddly savings that you might get, it's really not worth it when you know that your reservation's not secure. That was not good enough for this bitch. No. I don't remember exactly why. She had some issue with. Oh no, that's right. I think that I made a mistake. So, but this is all happening. It's like hectic and frantic. She's driving. She's like yelling at me. She's like, "You have to get a different ticket." And I think that the round trip ticket that I bought the second time, it wasn't non-refundable. You gotta cancel it! So then I had to cancel the first trip. I had to cancel the second one-way return trip. I had to cancel the round trip from United that wasn't non-refundable, and then purchase another round trip flight that was refundable. I did that for her. Then, of course, she was really pissed, and she was like yelling at me that she wanted me to make a spreadsheet of everything, all the tickets and like everything. So I ended up spending a long time, like hours. It actually took a while for me to. I canceled everything. I made a spreadsheet where I had like all the flights, and it was so insane. And I made some mistakes, but I feel like the way I looked at it was like, the fact that she freaked out the way she did about the first ticket, that was the real mistake. I mean, I own the fact that I bought something on Expedia and I didn't know that it could get canceled, and that was on me. Like, that was on me not knowing that. That was a amateurish mistake, that I did not know that was something that could happen. And I guess it was kind of like, it couldn't have happened to the worst client at the worst time. I mean, I have to say that one thing I will say about this client and other clients haven't, like, I had another guy that I worked with him for a good long while, but I really thought he was so arrogant. So this lady, the first conversation we had was red flags for me, a lot of red flags. And I was like, this lady is going to be problematic. And she was. And and then she was like, well, you can do other things, you can do this and that, for me, but I just will not allow you to do any more travel plans. I just don't trust you that way. So you can do these tasks but not those. And I was like, no. I said, the fact that you won't take any accountability in the way things went down, and now you're like, you want to disrespect me this way and say that you don't trust me. I'm like, I don't want to work with you anymore. And that was the end of it. But, well, it didn't end right there. She pushed back, and she was guffawed. She could not believe my audacity to put even one speck on her. And she was like, I absolutely refuse to say, she was like, this was 100% your fault. And I'm like, so you don't think that the way you handle things and the way you like it literally spiraled out of control, and you were so hectic, the fact that you were driving to the fucking appointment while, like, you knew you had this appointment last night and that you had to drive there, this didn't even occur to me until just now. This bitch had her appointment for the next day. She had her perfect choice of flight ticket up on the screen, and instead of literally clicking purchase, print, she emails me late at night to buy something that she knows I'm not going to see till the next morning. And again, who knows? Maybe if she had purchased it herself, the same exact thing would have happened, because it was canceled by TAP Portugal canceled the return leg of the flight. So again, how the fuck is that my fault? If she had just done what she should have done and bought her own fucking ticket the night before and headed out to her appointment to the passport place, then none of that would have happened. But no, she didn't see any of that. In her mind, it was 100% my fault. And I was just like, I can't work with somebody who's this chaotic. The fact that you got that chaotic, the fact that you were even driving to the fucking appointment without your ticket in your hand, that's chaotic. So it's like you do things in a completely chaotic, disorganized way. You are running late and running somewhere without the stuff that you need, and then you in a panic put all this stress and pressure on me. And yeah, I made a mistake, because you're literally driving to an appointment yelling at me to get the ticket, and I forgot to get the non-refundable. And then I ended up spending hours doing this shit for her to correct it all. And so I write to her, I send her the spreadsheet, and I'm like, I did all of this work. It was like 5 hours worth of work. I didn't charge you at all for any of this. And she's like, you didn't charge me. Of course you didn't charge me. This was all your fault. And I'm like, this bitch. And that was the end of that. And then the guy was saying, the very first conversation that we ever had, and he was like, I'm going to change the world. And I'm like, okay, cool. But I got this vibe from him, like, he is an arrogant motherfucker. He has like delusions of grandeur. I don't know. And then this dumb motherfucker, I'm going to change the world. I'm writing a book. I'm doing all this stuff. I am going to change the world. Then he goes to a fucking, goes to go to a conference or something, leaves his laptop on the plane. Leaves his laptop on the plane. So instead of me editing his chapter or scheduling meetings or setting him up for the conference or getting him for some speaking engagement or any of those things, I am calling the airline to find out about lost and found, because he left his laptop on the plane. And then he's got me trying, then he's desperately trying to get some reimbursement. In my mind, I'm like, how the fuck are you going to get reimbursement for your own stupidity? How do you leave your laptop on the plane? You're supposedly writing a book that's going to change the world, and you leave it on the plane? So then I'm like, I have to buy him a new laptop. Then when he purchased his new laptop, he also purchased Microsoft Office. But when he got the new laptop, he realized that the license for the Microsoft Office from his old laptop was still good, so he didn't need to actually purchase it again. So now I have to go get him a refund for that. So this man who's going to change the world's got me calling the airline because he left his laptop and trying to get a refund for that. And then there was a flight that he got delayed because of bad weather. So he's trying to get money for that because he had to stay overnight at an airport. So this is what this man who's going to change the world has got me running around doing. Picking up the pieces of his messes. And he was so arrogant. And then there was this one occasion where I was working on a post for his Instagram. So he was at a conference and he's calling me in breaks, and it was like a webinar that he did with a guest, and it was just like a 1-minute clip that he took out, and he said, you know, can you put some captions on this and share it on my Instagram? So and then he had his Instagram locked for a certain time, so he couldn't get into his Instagram account until 5 p.m. But he's at a conference, and he wants me to post it, but I can't log into his Instagram because he got this thing locked. So he also when we first started, he was like, can you text me at like 8 or 9 at night every night to remind me to get off the computer, which was kind of weird. And I'm like, okay. And that felt kind of awkward, and we did that for a while, like every night. And I'm like, I'm sitting at home chilling, doing my fucking gardening, and then I'm like, I gotta text this dude? It's weird. So I did phase that out. Okay, but so I'm like, I make the graphic, I put his name on it, I put the guest's name on it, and I have his company name at the bottom, and I shared it with him, like, this is this version, here's another version. He's like, change this, fix this, edit this. So finally he's like, okay, it looks good, can you post it? So I'm like, I gotta like wait for 5 o'clock. And then he's letting me, he's doing the thing to let me into his account. And then I post it on his Instagram. A little while later, he's like, oh my God, why did you post something without my approval? What? Am I in the Twilight Zone? Again, it's like, why are you working on the table of contents when you told me to? And I'm like, huh? What, dude? I'm like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? Then he's like, the fact that my company name is there on the bottom, people are complaining about that. They think it looks arrogant. I go back and I look at his fucking page, his Instagram page. All the other posts are like that. I'm like, what? I was so confused. I'm like, dude, you approved this. First of all, you approved it. So if you saw it and you didn't notice the name, now all of a sudden it's posted and you're noticing something you didn't notice before. But why would that be? Why is that a problem? And he's like, this is about me and the guy talking, and it seems like I'm trying to make myself more important. The guy's name was literally right there. I'm like, this motherfucker is stupid as fuck. This dude is so stupid. This makes no sense. And I was so pissed because I'm like, you're coming at me telling me that I posted something without your approval, which I would never do, when you literally approved it? I was like, this motherfucker. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to raise my rates on him. And that's what I did. A little bit later, I sent out an email to him. And I mean, he was like lowering what I was doing for him anyway. Like, I saw he was doing the slow ghost. But I was just like, you know what? Let's just make this nice and sweet. So I sent him an email saying, hey, it's been nice working with you. And, when we started together, I agreed to such and such rate. But due to, various things, whatever, my rate is now X. And I realize that might be outside of your budget. So if you'd like to continue working together, please let me know. Otherwise, peace out, motherfucker. And his response, our work relationship has now ended. Funny, I was talking to my client, the one who set me up with Flo yesterday. I'm talking about how I need a new client. How Flo is great. She's giving me tons of work to do, but she's not giving me the hours to get it all done. So I have to keep like pushing it off. And then I have another new client, but I've only got 4 hours with her. So I don't know if it's going to grow or I need other new client. And this was all before that guy had said, maybe I'm going to work with him. And in a way I'm feeling like, it would be good for Flo to kind of lock me in before I end up, getting other clients. And I might not have additional hours to do work for her because I might be just too busy. But I'm not going to, worry about that yet because I'm not at that point. What I would like to do is to get to the point where people like the work that I'm doing. People want me to do work for them, and like the demand is high, so I have to raise my rates. So when this guy mentioned, when I said to him, "Hey, I'm looking for another client," he was like, "That's great." I told him it's not the highest rate, and I actually used to make that amount of money many years ago. It was like a whole different world then. I used to have a full-time corporate job. I had like full coverage of insurance. It was like $5 copay, dental, vision, full, regular general care. I mean, they don't cover any alternative health care or anything like that, but it was part of my employment package. It wasn't like, oh, you get this insurance and you got to pay $400 a month. No, it was like a good, I was making good money, getting paid vacation, not a lot, but still, and now it's nothing like that. But, I prefer the flexibility of not being locked into just one client where it's like you're my boss and everything hinges on you. And I do prefer to have multiple clients that I like, and I like the work that I'm doing. However, I want to get to the point where, I'm pretty locked in with, 3 to 5 clients where they're all giving me a good amount of work. It's not like overwhelming where I'm working all the time at night, all the weekends. I have worked basically the last 2 or 3 weekends. I have been working for the flow. And like I said, I'm happy to be able to get work done that I get paid for. But, I'm not going to be able to survive and thrive just working per hour. There's only so many hours in the day, and, my hourly rate isn't high enough where I can, earn tremendous amounts of money working hourly. But, this has been a very interesting journey the last 3 years. I've had some clients that, I thought like, oh, it's going well, and then it really didn't. I had one client, she literally sexually harassed me. And for a little while, I was like, oh, this is so amazing. It was like 3 weeks, so I was like, this is so cool. This is good money. It's pretty easy work. That's pretty enjoyable. She's cool. She was totally like love bombing me, even though it was like a work. Like she seemed so cool. She seemed so smart. She seemed so funny and so chill. And that's when she started, sending messages after hours and being inappropriate and all this stuff, okay? And it went from, oh my God, this is such an amazing situation where if things go like this for a while, I could really start to save. I can pay all my bills. I can get in a good spot. But no, it went down the fucking drain because she was a sicko bitch. And I ended up filing a complaint, an official sexual harassment complaint. And I got a very, very, very tiny small settlement. And yeah. And then that ended my employment. And that fucking put me on a bad trajectory. And then I was like struggling for a few months because I didn't have a good client. And it also took like a real emotional hit on me. The fact that, it had been so stressful. Like every waking moment was high anxiety in that couple of months, and luckily it was brief, but it was really bad. I mean, it was so minor compared to what so many people go through because, we weren't even in the same place, but it was really bad for me emotionally, and it was so stressful. It was, and it was, when it's tied to your livelihood, my God, that is the worst, where that you might end up losing everything because this fucking person is a predator, which is, that's the kind of part of like why I'm so invested in Justin Baldoni getting his justice, because I feel that Blake Lively is the one that put Justin in that horrific position, and that she was sexually harassing him and then turned around and is blaming it on him. And I'm talking about minor incidents like I was told to make a table of contents, and then Nancy goes behind me and she's pretending she's doing it, and then pretending I'm deleting her work. And it's like, okay, I deleted a slide that had 8 items on it out of 300 items. Like, what are you talking about? And that's the thing. It's like sometimes people want to sabotage you and you don't even know why. And sometimes it's not even for a good reason. Like I said, in this case with Nancy, there's no way that, like, anything that I'm doing, it's not taking away from the hours that she's being given. There's never going to be any moment in time ever where I would ever step into her job role. My being there actually would only make her job easier, because if she's got like lots of work like this and lots of data to compile and information to put together for clients, and she's not that great with PowerPoint, well, that's what I can do and help with. So, I just don't get, like with that client, that guy who left his shit on the plane and then even fucking went to Burning Man, which that I judged him hard for that. Just the fact that he went there, and then it just happened to be the year where there was like these bad storms, and then people were like stuck in the mud, and then somebody died, a couple people died, and it was just like, it was a fucking disaster. And he got caught in that, and I'm like, this motherfucker is so dumb. And and a lot of the pushback that I felt between me and him had to do with moments where I pushed back, like as a mom, an independent person, an independent thinker, and someone who has worked independently for a long time. I don't take certain shit, and some people just don't like that. For some people, they want you to bow down and to, act like, that's what I'm saying, like this lady Nancy. If Flo didn't think highly of me, or, like I said, I don't know what it was about. Maybe it was about, like, she felt disrespected. Like, I'm telling Kat to do this job. I'm the boss. You working for me. I asked you to manage this project, but not in a way where you're undermining me, meaning her. Maybe it was that. Maybe the fact that, another thing that she said on that call when she was like, stop what you're doing. She's like, I already paid Jay to do all this work she did last week. And now, the company that she's doing this for, they aren't giving her enough hours to really get it done. So the fact that Nancy did what she did, actually, I don't even know if Flo realizes this. Nancy cost Flo probably at least $1,000. Because by her going behind her back and having Jay do all this work that I was doing as well, two of us were like counteracting each other. For example, I had set the master so that the title was 28 size font, and nobody talked to me. Nobody came and said, we've changed this now to 24. They just went in and edited it. So when I went back and I saw all these titles are the wrong size now, because I've got 4 decks with size 28 titles, and now somebody went into part 1 and changed half the titles to size 24. So I have to fix it now. So I spent a couple hours going and fixing all these changed sizes, only to be told by Jay, we changed it from 28 to 24, and I was changing it without telling you. So, like, here it is, and so Nancy had told Jay, change it to 24. Jay's in there changing things to 24. knowing goddamn well I'm working on changing things, working on the formatting, and making slide masters. So, because of Nancy's mismanagement of this project, Jay probably worked 40 hours counteracting shit that I was doing. And I unknowingly spent at least 20 hours undoing shit that she did, not knowing that they had made a decision to change the format behind my back without telling anybody. And again, that's why Flo was understandably probably pissed. Like, I told Kat what to do, and you are communicating behind, like, you're leaving her out of the conversation, you're changing things, and then, like, ultimately, that was so fucked up. And again, it's like, why? Why are you doing that? And another thing is that my understanding is that Jay's role, she is there for the content. Why would you pay somebody whose skill set is the content? Why are you paying her to reformat shit when you've got the person who's hired to do the reformatting? You got Jay, who's supposed to be doing the content, what the training manual is supposed to say, and you got me over here who's supposed to be formatting it to, make every slide the same, and you're undermining each of us. You're undermining Jay because she should be working on the stuff that she's actually skilled in. Not that she doesn't know how to use PowerPoint, but just talking to her a little bit, I can tell that she doesn't know how to use it anywhere near like how I know how to use it. She wasn't making slide masters and stuff. She's just changing things on the surface. So when you just change things on the surface, it makes it a lot harder to manage huge files. That's why you fix the master. That's why you let the fucking master of the PowerPoint fix the fucking master. You let the person who's skilled at that thing do that thing. And then you let the other person who knows, like, Jay is working on what to train the people on, what it should say, what that content should be, what resource to pull that in from. Why is she sitting there reformatting title font sizes, undoing the work that I've done, and then I have to go back and fix it? And that was all because of Nancy. Because of Nancy deciding, I'm going to tell other people to do different things, even though Flo told Kat to do X, Y, Z. I'm going to tell Jay to do it now, instead of her doing the shit she was supposed to do. But the thing is, again, if Flo wasn't the one, let's say Flo wasn't the one who had specifically told me to do it. Let's say it had been Jay who said, hey, Kat, can you do this? And then Nancy went behind, Like, that's how people can lose their jobs. People can get fired over shit like that. People out here sabotaging other people who literally just are trying to work and make a living so they can raise their family, feed themselves, whatever the fuck it is that while you have money, pay your bills, live somewhere, eat, wear something. And you got fucking negative Nancys and these Debbie Downers out here sabotaging people for no good reason, just being utter, complete a-holes, morons, assholes, for nothing, just creating drama. Or you got arrogant motherfuckers who claim they're going to change the world, and you can't even manage to get off an airplane without leaving your fucking expensive ass laptop behind with all the documents that you supposedly going to change the world with. What a dumb fuck. So anyway, I may have a new client starting next week or so. We'll see what he thinks about how many hours he wants me to work, and whether or not he continues to be cool. And so that was my, oh my God, a good hour long Saturday chat. Ugh. Now I gotta go back and fix the part where I accidentally said somebody's real name. And I'm definitely not gonna be fucking around with the captions, because now I can go work on some table of contents and get paid to do some work. And I actually have 2 other clients that I really have some stuff to do as well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish the table of contents for the rest of those parts. quickly. I hope it won't take too long because I want to get it done and I don't want to be working all weekend. And I've already I'm definitely probably going to have 40 hours this week, which is nice. It's nice to have the hours, but again, it does, like I'm happy that she's got a lot of work to give me, but I'm not happy that she's so tight with the hours. And like my other client, the one who had set me up with her, had said, she's like, well, I don't understand why she can't give you more hours. She's got 45 people. She's got a lot of people on the payroll. So, I mean, and in my mind, I'm like, 10 extra hours would make a huge difference for me. I don't see how it's going to, it's not going to cut a huge, I mean, it's not like she's paying me so much where 10 hours a week more is going to break her bank. It might help me a lot. But again, I'm not trying to fight with people about stuff. So it's like you got 10, 20 projects that you want me to manage, but you only want to give me 20 hours. I'm going to do the best I can, do what I can in 20 hours, and then got to put that shit off to next week because I don't work for free. So, my ultimate goal is to get to the point where I have enough clients that are paying me who are like, here are paid hours, you can do the work and I can get it done. And, actually push back on somebody and be like, well, I don't have the time. Like, if I have to fight with her for hours every week, I'd much rather just get into a relationship with another client where, where he can give me 10 or 20 hours and then she can give me 20 hours and I have my other, 5 and 3 and 4 hours people that, will supplement and add it up. But, the long-term problem with multiple clients is that sometimes various clients have deadlines that tend to overlap. And then, there have been a couple of times where, when I got that Portugal trip, that ticket, and I was actually really tired because I was taking on a lot of clients. I was doing a lot of interviewing and I was really tired. And when she was like, you need to buy me a ticket, in my mind, I set aside an hour for that because it's like, how long does it take to buy an airline ticket? It's not going to take me an hour. And then because of the way it went down, it spiraled into, it was like the whole entire day and half of the next day. And it was like, I realized like, well, I should give myself more time. If she needs me to buy a flight ticket by noon, I shouldn't say, well, I'll start at 11, because who knows what's going to happen. Although, normally you don't expect buying a flight ticket to fucking spiral chaos. So, I'm learning things. I'm learning how, like, my new client that I have, I feel like I probably should have finished some things during the week that I really didn't totally get to, although she only wants to give me 4 hours a week. So again, it's like, there has to be a balance between what somebody is expecting you to do and the amount of hours they're willing to pay you to do it. And then it's like, well, I got to that 4 hours. No, I didn't finish the task, but I don't work for free. So if you want these things done in a more timely manner, you're going to have to pay for the fucking time to get it done, right? If you're not willing to pay somebody, you can't get the work done. So my goal is to, and again, my goal is a goal knowing that things shift, things change, because just a few months ago in October, I had a client, he was giving me 10 hours a week steady, and I loved what I was doing for him, and he had a long list of things to do that seemed like ongoing projects. And then he slow ghosted me too. And he was like, I'm not really working. I don't have any projects. And basically his wife had inherited 2 multi-million-dollar residences. And he was like, we're living in this one. And they're going back and forth. And I kind of got the sense that, he doesn't need to work. Like, he's financially okay. So, and he said, like, He didn't have the space that he used to, and then he had me looking all around to find him a space. I spent a few hours doing that, only for him to turn around and say, "Oh, I'm gonna go to this other place." So it was just kind of like, I really, really liked him. I liked what I was doing for him. He was giving me a decent hourly rate. And then he just basically slow ghosted. He just pulled away bit by bit. And it was like week after week, he's not giving me anything to do. And, that's frustrating. It's like, it's so frustrating when you feel like you're in a position where you're good and you could just, like, if I could just start focusing on doing the work, getting the jobs done, and not having to constantly look for that next client, I feel like I would be in a good space. And then the other thing is, like, when you're brand new, like, so I have this new client and I'm really glad about it, but there's a lot that she wants me to do, and I'm just trying to figure out even like how to do. It's not that I not know how to do it, but like, when do you want me to post stuff? And she's got this podcast, and she's got a webinar, and then she's got a graphic she wants posted, and I'm supposed to be coming up with a schedule and stuff like that, and it's a lot of content and all this stuff. But yet again, it's like only 4 hours, so I got to the end of the 4 hours and I got other shit to do for other people, so you get put on the back burner. And I'm like wondering, like, was I supposed to post something yesterday? I don't really know. She sent something to me to, and then like I had put stuff on this social media scheduling thing for her, and for her to look at and let me know when she wants me to post, and then she didn't get back to me. So it's kind of like, I don't really know. Am I dropping the ball? Is she dropping the ball? And of course I want the client to continue. But, it's kind of hard when you're brand new and you're just trying to get your footing. You don't even really know what you're doing with this client, or how they like to work, or what the process is, or the word she loves, cadence. What's the cadence? She says that word about 4 or 5 times in every call. What's the cadence? So I got to figure that out. And so I'm really hoping to get to a good point where I've got my decent clients. And even, like I said, the 2 that I love the most, that pay me the least, eventually I'm going to have to say to them, hey guys, we really need to talk about our rate. I haven't upped my rate with you in literally 3 years, which is insane. But I really wanted to get situated and feel comfortable with what I have going on with other clients, because I don't want to lose them. They don't give me a huge amount of work where it's even well, I can't even get to the other work because of the, I like it. And actually both of them have recommended other people to me. So it's like a good source of referrals. So we'll see. I personally feel like, yes, the money is important, but those relationships are so important. And because of everything that I've just talked about in the last couple hours, I think it's obvious that for me, having people who trust me, that I trust, who have grace, if you make a mistake, there's grace, and that, they don't have this completely unmanageable personality, or, they're not sabotaging you. There's so much bullshit happening out there. And I know even now, it's even crazier. People are so scared, and there's so many unlawful things happening in the world, in people's jobs. And yeah, so I just wanted to get all that off my chest. I haven't done a video therapy session in a long ass time. So I'm going to get to work, and I'm really hoping to build a good, strong clientele of people who trust and respect me, and that I can really start learning how to become a big earner. So with that, I got to get to work. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe. Join me on catlovedreamingpeach.com and on my YouTube channel with the same. So I thought I was done with this video, and then I saw an email from the same fucking lady. Sophie's at it again. This time she's bothering somebody else. So again, this is all referencing this huge training manual, which is 5 parts, and she was, going behind me and doing what I was told to do, and then complaining to the owner, the boss, saying that I was deleting her work, which was a lie. So this is when Sophie was had taken over, and she was asking, so I'll just call them P and R. So P and R are both work for this company. They're married and they both have a role. Okay, so one of the meetings, they were both on the phone. They were talking about their parts, and I thought I had added stuff that they had sent me, or somebody else had sent it to me. I'm not sure, but this is going for a while now. This is a month-long process with a lot of people writing various emails and various parts and all that stuff. So anyway, there was a meeting on Friday. So this is after Sophie had, done that stuff with Flo, and then Flo told me Sophie's part is done and Jay is heading it up now. Okay, so I just wanted to read this because I'm like, oh my God. So on Friday, April 11th at 10:09 a.m., marked as high importance, Sophie sends a message to P and R, to 2 emails for P. I'm CC'd. Flo, the owner, is CC'd. Jay is CC'd. G, S, the 2K, or 1K guy, and a K lady name. Okay, so most of the people from the team minus the second K guy. And this is what the email says. R and P. On the email chain below, Flo has asked frequently if we added the additional information from you both. When I looked at this email chain, I do not see any attachments, even after Kat, that's me, asked for the attachments. We have a meeting today at 2 p.m. ET. Would you please send all attachments prior to this if possible? Thank you so much for your help. And then her signature. Okay, then Saturday at 9:50 a.m. from our team, we apologize for the late response to this email. However, on Fridays, R is out of the office and I am busy with 2 other client meetings, so we missed your email. In the future, if you need to get a hold of us immediately, please call us at this number. I have 2 other articles I will be finishing up, and she names them. And I've attached the ones I had previously published. Thank you. And then sign R and P. And I just wanted to add, this late, when she first sent me something, and she CC'd Flo, and my thought was, why the fuck is she CCing the boss on such a minor thing? First of all, the boss is busy. She gets a million emails. Does she really need to see every little email of every little interaction? No, she doesn't. And in fact, that's very annoying and it's unprofessional. And you think that you're, in my mind, I'm like, you think you're being high and mighty and powerful because you're pulling in the boss onto this minor incident, which to me feels threatening. It's like, I am going to CC the boss on everything because, nothing's going to get by me kind of thing. I don't know. I just feel like it is gross to be pulling in the boss on minor little things that it's really not a big deal. And to me, it seems like you're trying to get people in trouble. You're trying to make an issue for people. It's like Sophie is sending this email, making it seem like P and R are dropping the ball. They're not being responsive. They're not doing what they're supposed to. It's been multiple requests and they're just ghosting or whatever. And then when they respond, it's like, we don't work on Fridays. I'm in meetings, like you're the one who's wrong and out of line. And, in that case, it's like, I'm not involved in this. And I'm like, so here it is. Sophie is trying to make problems for R&P. She's trying to make it seem like, to Flo, to the boss, that they're not doing what they're supposed to. And I'm the one here pointing it out. And I'm letting you know. I'm not only letting you know, I'm letting the entire team and the boss know that we've been trying to reach you and you're not responsive. And then when they responded, and of course they CC'd everybody, and it's like, now everybody knows that Sophie is a bitch. Sophie is trying to reach people when they're not even working, and then turning around and making it seem like we've been urgently trying to reach out to you and you're just dropping the ball. We can't even hear back from you. And then when P is like, if you really need us, you could call. Like, so you needed somebody so badly, and you just sent an email CCing the boss talking about how you can't reach them, but yet you never actually picked up the phone. So anyway, I just wanted to add that to this video. Is already like an hour and a half or 2 hours, I don't know. And I was just talking. This whole video is just me talking about various clients that I've had that, really sucked, or they were so hectic or so disorganized or so unprofessional or just chaotic, and then want to blame the other person. That just reminded me of this woman that she was my client very briefly, and she expected me to find like 3 or 4 viable candidates for a job. So like when Flo asked me to find 3 viable candidates for the job, she gave me her ZipRecruiter account to log into. She gave me the hours to do the work. She gave me the time to respond to the people, to review their resumes, then to do follow-up questions, and then to, vet out the first round. And this other lady expected me to give her 3 to 4 viable candidates with no money. She wanted me to put a free ad somewhere and then expect people, viable candidates, to respond. She wanted me to do all of this in it was like less than 10 hours that she expected me to hand her 3 to 4 viable candidates who were ready and willing. She didn't even tell me what wait. She kept refusing to tell me how much she wanted to pay for the role and how many hours it was going to be. And then she finally came back, and it was like, well, it's going to be like maximum, I think what it was like she wanted to pay $20 an hour for like 10 hours a week. I'm like, that's like $200. Who the hell wants a job where they're going to make $200 a week other than like a high school kid or, a 12-year-old doing babysitting on the weekend? No grown-ass adult is going to want to get a job making $200 a week. And then she had the nerve, like all the list of stuff that they're supposed to do. And I was just like, this is just not realistic. You want me to give you these viable candidates for this job that isn't even a viable job, and you're not even giving me any money about it, and then, or an account to sign in and make an ad or anything. And then she's like, I'm not pleased with the work you've done. I expected a lot more from you. So I wrote back and said, you are extremely unrealistic, and you need to get back to the drawing board, because I don't know what it is. I don't know who you think would take a job for $200 a week. And, what you're expecting of me is completely unrealistic. Anyway, with that, hopefully this is helpful to you. And just know, most likely, if you're having issues, I don't know. It's, a lot of times these people give people problems, and it's really not personal. It's that person has some super unrealistic expectations.